Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's session for Writing for Social Media. My name is Daryl, and I'm a trainer for the free skills training program, the Google Digital Garage. Just a little bit about myself before we kick off. I come from a very diverse background within sales, recruitment, hospitality, learning and development, and of course, within tech. And I'm really looking forward to delivering this session when it comes to writing for social media. But as mentioned, when it comes down to today's session, there's a couple of housekeeping tips that I'd like to dive into. But before we jump into those housekeeping tips, I want to let you all know that I'm not here alone. I'm also fortunate to have Sarah with us here today, also a Google Digital Garage trainer, and she will be moderating today's chat and will be answering any questions, any queries, and welcoming any emojis or any kind of information you'd like to share within the chat. Now, on that note, a couple of housekeeping tips. In order for you to get involved with today's chat, first, let's go ahead and locate it. If you're viewing us through a desktop or a laptop, there's a very good chance that it'll just be on the right-hand side, and Sarah's name will have a little blue spanner next to her name. If you are viewing us through a mobile device, there's a very good chance that the chat will be just below us, and we encourage questions as we go along. Now, I've already said a few things, but if you are struggling to hear me or see me, what I do recommend is you go ahead to your browser and you refresh this page. Once you refresh this page, it normally irons out any potential problems that you may face. As mentioned, we love queries, we love questions, we love emojis, and we're really looking to have a very interactive session. Myself and Sarah are looking to get those questions from you, those thoughts, those ideas, and in order for you to do so, you would be required to have a YouTube account. Now, it's relatively easy to get set up, or once you're all set up, you'll be able to fire over those questions to myself and Sarah, and we will be pausing throughout today's session for those particular questions. But as the session's going along, if you have any questions that come to mind, don't be shy, pop it into the chat. Remember, I'd like to remind everybody, you've all entered a completely non-judgmental environment. There is no such thing as a silly question. And please remember, there could be something that you pop in the chat today that may resonate with somebody else and think, oh, I never thought about it that way. So as much as you may be looking to learn more from myself and Sarah, there could be things that you share amongst the chat today that could really benefit somebody else within who's currently viewing the chat or the session today. Last but not least, this particular live session is part of a broader offering from the Google Digital Garage. So I hugely encourage you to click on the link in the description below. It'll take you to their website and give you a plethora amount of information, online courses, and many more live webinars very similar to this. Now, just before we kick off and go ahead and get started with today's session, I'd like to remind everybody, if you'd like to have the closed captions for this particular live training, all you'll need to do is hover over the current window, find the settings and click on the captions, and you'll be able to go follow along with those captions as we go along. I think I repeated myself there, but you will be able to have those subtitles as we go. But I'd like to say there's lots and lots of hellos popping into the chat. And I'm looking forward to saying hello to all of you. But for those who haven't got involved with the chat, feel free, please go ahead and get involved with the chat and really get engaged as much as possible as we dive into what are we going to be covering over the next 60 minutes. Well, we've broken it down to 3 basic steps. Number 1, we're going to look at how we can define your brand on social media. How do we define that? What is going to be behind that definition to bringing your brand to life when it comes to writing for social media? Second of all, we're going to dive on to writing for social media. What are the things that we need to think about when we're writing for social media? Perhaps on different platforms, different mindsets, and especially when it comes to your own brand or your particular business. Then we're going to finish off today's session with the tools of content marketing. Very jam-packed session with lots and lots of information. So what I do recommend is you all have a pen and pad ready to go, or you got a separate device or a separate notepad open ready to go to take down those notes, because as much as myself and Sarah are looking to pass on as much information as possible, sometimes it can be quite overwhelming. So I'd also like to let you know this particular live training will be available as a recording for approximately 24 hours, where you'll be able to use the same link that you used to join today's session. You'll be able to rewind and fast forward and really absorb the information at your own pace. But sometimes you think, well, Daryl, that was still a little bit too much information and it went straight over my head. Well, fear not, Google is offering free one-to-one mentoring sessions to small businesses and charities throughout the UK. I am so proud to be a part of this amazing initiative, along with many other digital experts that are literally ready and waiting to help you, whether it's going to be around social media strategy, digital marketing, building your CV, you name it. There's going to be a digital expert ready and waiting to help you. So please go ahead and take down that link, which is g.co/UK mentoring. And I'm pretty sure Sarah's going to pop in the link at some stage throughout the session. So feel free to click onto it, bookmark it. And if you know of a small business or charity in the UK that would hugely benefit from this one-to-one mentoring session, please go ahead and share that link with them. And hopefully we'll either see yourself or somebody else that you passed on to this amazing initiative in the sessions in the future. And I'll be referencing this towards the end, but I highly, highly recommend you book into these free one-to-one mentoring sessions. As I've got that up on screen, give you some time to write it down and hopefully bookmark it. I want to go ahead and say a couple of hellos. We've got Korushi Panadori, really bad at pronunciation, but welcome to you. We got Maria, welcome to everybody, to you. Aishwara, again, my apologies for the pronunciation. Welcome to you. We got Claire Martin from Taunton. Welcome, welcome. We got Linda from Highlands. We've got Edwina from sunny Black, bit cool in the Black Country. Welcome to you. We've got Andy all the way from very hot Kent. If you are in the UK, you are probably quite hot right now with this amazing weather. We got Ivar from Iran. Wow, we really have a diverse international audience today. We got Maria calling in from Portugal. Let's get learning. I completely agree. We got Jarupi from India. Welcome to you. We got so many names. I don't think I can mention them all, but welcome. We got Gerald, we got Maria, we got Liesel, we got Farabi, we got Ivor. All of you, big welcome. Thank you for getting involved with the chat, and please continue to do so. As we jump into the first part, we got another one from Siverson or Siva calling in from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Wow, really international audience. Thank you everybody for getting involved. Keep that up. Keep Sarah on her toes and really get involved as much as possible, because how we're going to jump into the first part of today's session about defining your brand on social media. That's the forefront. Regardless if you have a brand right now or you don't have a brand at all, how do we now go back to the basics? How do we now understand from your point of view, what is your brand about? How do we define that? So how are we going to go about that? Well, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and ask you all a question. What is a brand tone of voice? So exactly how would you define them? And I thought, brand, tone of voice, social media, is that something that we could have? But there is no wrong answers here, everybody. So feel free to share it in the chat. What do you think a brand tone of voice is? Pop into the chat. Myself and Sarah are looking forward to your answers. But this is really the pinnacle of when you're looking to build up a brand, because this is going to be the foundations and the basics of, okay, we have a brand, but we're going to start talking a little bit more about the tone of voice. So popped it into the chat there. I'm going to hopefully start to see those trickle in. Remember, there's no wrong answer here. We're looking to ideate ideas and just start to formulate something that's going to enable you to start writing for social media a little bit more constructively. So let's see if we can get a few more in the chat there. Lots and lots of hellos. But what is a brand tone of voice? We got one from Andy, a recognizable and consistently style of writing. Andy, that is so beautifully written, and completely agree with you. So recognizable, consistency style of delivery. We've got one from Joe. Brand TOV is a set of rules on how a company presents itself in communications. It's a way to keep your presence consistent across different platforms. Joe, it feels like I feel like you have a bit of experience, because that is very, very well put. One from Northman. I'm sorry for the late attendance. Northman, no need to worry. If you'd like to watch more, if you didn't manage to see the beginning, remember, you'll be able to watch this and watch the recording and rewind. We've got Generic Nerd. Love that name. The way the brand sounds externally, most for a professional tone. We've got Ivar. It might be something like how to present yourself out there. You're definitely on the right track here, but you start to see there's some common elements on what people are communicating within the chat. We're trying to establish this brand, and sometimes people think, well, this is so obvious. If it's so obvious, let's make sure we define this. We have another one from Wesley, how to promote your business through words and images in a consistent way. I think I've heard the word or read the word consistently quite often. So that's going to be a huge factor. We got Ashwara, message about motive. We got Savani, a mood or emotion to convey about your brand. These are wonderful answers, and please keep them coming in. So essentially, when it comes down to a brand tone of voice, we need to establish, how are you going to behave? How are you going to respond in certain situations? how are you going to dress? Now, when I say you, I'm referring to your business, your brand, or your organization. So essentially, we have another one there. We've got lots of things coming into the chat. There is the personality of your brand or your business. So if you think of your business, how would it speak if it was a real person? And we're going to bring that into life very, very shortly. But imagine your business was a person. How would you speak? How would you speak to another person? What was the tone of voice to reflect that personality that helps you essentially connect on a completely different level with your audiences and makes you different from the rest? Because if you can establish a tone of voice amongst all of your competitors, and we all have the competitors, how do we now differentiate ourselves from everybody else? How do we stand out? And personality is a great way to do this. So a lot of talking. So let's now put this a little bit into action and give you a little bit of I suppose, a vivid picture. Hopefully you are all familiar with these three amazing celebrities. So considering your business may be a celebrity, who would it be and why? So as I'm reading through these, we got James, we got George, and we got Beyonce. So I'm going to go through these, but as I'm going through them, I want you all to think about one celebrity. It doesn't even have to be a celebrity, but who is the person? If your business was a celebrity or a person, what celebrity would you choose and why? Or which person would you choose and why? So putting it into context, maybe you like James Gordon. His personality and his tone of voice is very personable. He's very humble, and in my eyes, he's incredibly funny. Then you got George Clooney, incredibly sophisticated, very, very laid back, and in my opinion, he's very, very smooth, and he has been for quite some time. And that's kind of how his personality comes across. Last but not least, we have Beyonce, extremely strong, alluring, and empowering. For those who have seen her on stage or listened to her music, it's incredibly empowering, but she's created this personality and almost this tone of voice about how she projects herself. So we got one from Sassy, well, Taylor Swift. Sassy, I love that. So if your business was Taylor Swift, what are the words that you think tie closely related to that tone of voice? And I'd love to see a few more coming in there. But you got George Clooney, Mustafa. Okay, we've chosen that one. So your personality and your tone of voice is going to be sophisticated, laid back, and smooth. We got Gerald, Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel, similar to James Gordon. Very, very funny, very, very personable. And he's obviously in a place where he is for a particular reason. Now, this is all really exciting and really nice to dive into, but the essence of what we're trying to do right here is to get everybody watching to establish, if you could think of your brand as a personality, what are those words that you would like to associate yourself to? And essentially what you're looking to do is differentiate yourself from all those competitors. We've got Andy Plow, Adam Savage, passionate, knowledgeable, and fun. We got Gerald, yes, similar to James, love that one too. We got North, we got Christina Ronaldo, hardworking, on point, and ideal. And we got any change maker celebrity. So beautiful words coming in through. So what I do recommend is this is, remember, we're going to the basics here. So hopefully everybody's writing down these three words. These three words, possibly four, possibly five, will be something that you're going to look back to and refer to when you look at posting and writing for social media. So every time you're about to click that post button or that publish button, you're going to look back to these three words and think, does this post come across as personable? Does it come across as funny? Does it come across as experienced? From Joe there. We have another one from Shivani. Does it come across as alluring? Or she's got Adele, which is a very, very powerful woman, confident, empowering, and alluring. So it's a great way. We've got another one from Ivar, authentic, creative, and funny. So keep those coming in. But as much as you're sharing in the chat, please don't stop doing that. Make sure you write these down, because this is going to, again, I know I've said it, it's the foundation. So now with that quick exercise, great way to start off today's session, we're going to jump into the 4 steps to help you develop your brand tone of voice. And we've broken it down to 4 basic steps. And they're still coming in there. One from Wagwa Ali, my apologies for the pronunciation. Jim Carrey, one of my favorite comedians and actors. Funny, sincere, and experienced senior. So Elon Musk from Northman. Oh, I wish I could go through all of these, because just these words alone is quite inspiring. So Keep them coming in and make sure you take down notes of them as we jump into the 4 steps to help develop your brand tone of voice, which is going to be broken down to these 4 steps, which is number 1, brand values. 2 is a pen portrait. And you're thinking, well, what's a pen portrait? Don't worry. We'll explain the pen portrait very shortly. Then how do you speak? How are you going to speak through emails, through social media, and through every given social media? How are you going to speak? You're going to have the same tone of voice to establish that brand. Then we're going to choose the words that you're going to use, and should definitely choose the words that you are not going to use, which is very, very important. Now, I'd like everybody to think within the context of what we're delivering today, regardless if you're a business of a one-man person or you've got a team. Everybody needs to establish these brand guidelines in order for you to have a consistency within your writing for social media. So, number 1, what does your brand or business stand for? Now, again, feel free to share it within the chat, but if you can think of the first thing, that what does your brand stand for? Now, this is different from your mission statement. And a mission statement normally says, like, for example, what you do. But what we're referring to is, why do you do it? And what do you stand for? For example, if you had to refer to myself, if I was a business, which I'm currently self-employed, for example, and what do I stand for? Well, what I stand for is something that is going to help people to be inspired and motivated, especially when it comes around to digital skills. But this is the first step, because this is going to shape the tone of your voice. So to put this into context, we can think, well, Daryl, I don't really know what words to pick right now. So what we're doing is we're focusing on what you stand for and why do you do it. So we've got an example here. We have Nico's Pizzeria and we have Hathaway Legal. 2 great example, fictitious at this time, but we have Nico's Pizzeria, which of course sells pizza. But now we're trying to establish that tone. So making quality pizza with active ingredients, fresh ingredients, not active, provide excellent customer service and fast and reliable home delivery or takeaway. For example, with Hathaway Legal, they're dedicated to the highest level of diligence. They believe in our clients deserve a quick response and only hire top lawyers who have trained at prestigious institutions. Essentially, what we have done here is we've established the things that they value. What do they stand for? Not the mission statements, not that they sell pizzas, not that they're lawyers and they offer legal advice, because that's something that they do. We're focusing on the things that you stand for. And for Nico's Pizzeria, it seems to be quality, customer service, and fast and reliable. That's what they want to be known for, and that's what we want to bring when it comes to that tone of voice. Hathaway Legal, diligent, quick response, and top lawyers. Hopefully, everybody here thinking about your own businesses, your charity, your organization, and starting to write down, what does your brand stand for? And remember, it's different from your mission statement. Step number 2 is going to be how you would describe a core member of your audience. Now, I'm going to put my user experience mindset on, or the cap on, should we say. If you are any business, charity, or organization, having a real good rounded understanding of who your audience is and who your target audience is going to allow you to start writing for social media a lot more effectively and connect with your audience on a completely different level. So how do we do that? Well, pen portraits are sometimes quite difficult to bring to fruition, and I'll give you a couple of top tips on how to do that. But there's one point that I'd like to bring across when it comes down to creating content. We're all looking to write for social media. We're looking to bring a message across, but there's a very powerful saying, which is create content for everyone or create content for no one. Now, I'm not sure where this quote came from, but it deems true within what the context of what we're speaking about right now. So if you don't take this time thinking about your brand and your audience, your marketing materials are going to be like, okay, I'm going to post out something here and hope for the best and niddly diddly just start posting. And hopefully somebody's going to like my posts. And I have a lot of people talking about those one-to-one mentoring sessions. I have delivered so many different one-to-one mentoring sessions. And there's a common question that I ask majority businesses is, who is your audience? And many of them say, well, everybody likes my products and my services. And as much as I like to think that's true, let's face it, there's always going to be a particular target audience that has an affinity or an interest in your products or the services that you are delivering. So it's very, very, very important that we need to start creating content specifically for your target audience. So if we think about your audience, how do we now create a vivid picture of who that audience is? There's multiple ways to do this, but when it comes to writing for social media, a great way to do this is to do a pen portrait. Now, if you're not quite familiar with a pen portrait, jump into Google after today's session, type in pen portrait, you'll get a list in Google giving you a couple of templates on how you can build up on that one. But essentially, coming back to these two examples of Nico's Pizzeria and Hathaway Legal, Nico's Pizzeria has come up with a bunch of words, basically paragraphs, to paint this vivid picture in our brains about who our target audience is. Pen portraits are incredibly powerful when it comes to connecting. So we have Nico's Pizzeria, and they've established their audience is Simon. Now, there isn't just one person, but remember, we're trying to build up this picture. Simon is young, single, professional, in his late 20s, works full-time in advertising, living in Brighton, leads a very busy work social life, has a big appetite for adventure, a keen athlete who enjoys playing football or who goes to local bar with his mates watching televised sporting events. Now, feel free to read through Hathaway Legal, but essentially what they've done is they've created a vivid picture of who the audience is. Now, you may be thinking, well, Daryl, this is just a bunch of words. Can you just break this down for me? Because this means nothing to me. Well, it won't mean anything to you right now, purely because we're speaking about two other businesses. But again, hopefully everybody's got a pen and pad right now, and you're going to start thinking about creating your own pen portrait. How do we break that down? Number one is going to be gender, age. Could be where do they live, for example. Then marital status: are they married? Are they single? What do they do for a job? What is their children? Do they have children? Don't they have children? What is their hobbies? What's their interests? What's their values? What's their job title? What's their talents? What's their ambitions? What's the politics that they're involved in? Now you're probably thinking, well, Daryl, how am I supposed to know all of this information about our audiences? Now, that's not something myself and Sarah can answer for you. This definitely takes some time to accumulate this information. And there's multiple ways to do this. The number one way to do this, especially in today's age, is we really need to connect with our audiences. If you have the ability to speak face-to-face, have a chat with your customers. Ask these type of questions. Of course, you're not going to walk up to them and say, hey, how old are you? But you're going to ask things like, well, what are you interested in? What social media platforms are you on? Have these conversations and build up this real good understanding of who your customers are. You could do that through face-to-face. You could do that through creating a Google form or some sort of a survey that's going to allow you to put it out there and get those answers from them. And even furthermore, if you have a website or if you have, of course, social media, you can dive into the insights. Now, I unfortunately don't have the time to jam pack all that information into it today. So what I do recommend is you click in the link in the description below and we'll register for the next training, live training on Get Started with Analytics, which is going to give you a little bit more understanding about how do we now extract this information and then create this pen portrait to really help us develop this content. Step number 3 is what describes the personality of your brand or your business. Now, again, I want everybody to get involved again. What I'd like you to do is share 3 to 5 words on how you can describe how you would communicate online. Now, share that within the chat, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Coming back to Nico's Pizzeria and Hathaway Legal, we have Hathaway Legal, charm, authenticity, family. We've got Hathaway Legal, which is powerful, efficient, and experienced. So everybody else out there, what I'd like you to do is share within the chat 3 to 5 examples of what you would like to do in terms of describing your personality of your brand and your business. It may be similar to the celebrities that we spoke about earlier, but what we're focusing on now is what describes the personality of your brand and your business. 3 to 5 words. All of these words, again, we're building up that foundation. Pop it into the chat. Myself and Sarah are ready and waiting to see those descriptive words. And remember, we've got one from Sassy, which is friendly, trustworthy, and bold. Keep them coming in. And as much as you're sharing within the chat, I'm really hoping that you're taking note of this. Because when you start building up your actual brand or your guidelines, this is going to be super, super important. Okay, and as remember, if you have any questions as we're going along, we're going to jump to Q&A very, very shortly. Step number 4 is create some guidelines for the words that you will and you will not use. For example, how are you going to greet people? How are you going to sign off? How are you going to describe your products? What is the words that you're going to use to describe your customer? Some people say customer, some people say guest, some people say family, some people refer to lots of different information, but we need to make sure this consistent. Beautiful. Lots and lots coming in there in terms of Andy. He's mentioned customized, delicate, and humble. Love those words. We got Joe, creative, friendly, and experienced. Yayoti, creative, trustworthy, sustainable. Very, very powerful words. And I'm pretty sure a few of us in the chat, well, I'm going to steal that one. I want to steal that one. But that's what it's all about. We have Gerald, young, agile, fun, and a little serious. We have Priyanka, passionate, creative, relatable, and classy. Claire Martin, friendly, knowledgeable, and passionate. That is beautiful. So hold on to that because we're going to jump into creating these guidelines of what are you going to say and what aren't you going to say. So again, coming back to these two examples, Nico's Pizzeria does not use the word customer. They're going to use the word patron. It's not going to use the word eats. They're going to use words like fresh and appetizing and enjoy. But it's very, very important. Even if you're a one-man show right now, I'm pretty sure many of you, if you are going to grow. You are going to flourish. You're going to get team members. You're going to hire more on your team. And then when you have a group of people trying to build up your brand, all of them need to understand what are these brand guidelines. What do we say? What don't we say? And how do we communicate this within social media? For Hathaway Legal, they use kind regards instead of best wishes or cheers or thanks or fab or these types of words. Of course, when it comes to legal and you're speaking a little bit more serious in a serious tone, you're going to use words like thank you, excellent, and kind regards. Now, I spent quite a bit of time on the first part, and hopefully you're all starting to ideate ideas and come up with those 4 steps. But we're going to jump into the first bunch of questions. Got one from Claire Martin. Welcome, Claire Martin. What happens if we have a different target audiences? That is a really, really, really good question because that's going to be something that a lot of us are all thinking. So if we have a brand, we're going to have multiple audiences. We're also going to have multiple products. When we have multiple audiences, my personal advice would be, first and foremost, where is your bread and butter? Where is your biggest audience? Where is the one where you just know you've got the huge amount of audience that's going to buy this particular product or service? If I had to, for example, work with that, I would focus on that target audience, and that would be my main focus. However, I would start to experiment by sharing other content that could be relative or relevant to those other target audiences. Another point I'd like to bring across to you, Claire, is if you have multiple audiences, sometimes you can choose different social media platforms. Now, I'm not saying to you that you need to change your tone of voice. Your tone of voice is going to be the same on all those different platforms, but those target audiences may be sharing time on YouTube, for example, LinkedIn or Instagram. How can we tailor it a little bit more for that particular audience? Furthermore, as you start to develop as a brand, as a business, as an organization, you're going to start to learn more about these audiences. The better understanding that you have by segmenting these audiences accordingly, prioritizing these audiences, and then distributing the content accordingly, if that makes sense in terms of where those target audiences are. But great question. Perfect. Keep them coming in. I'm halfway through and I've got lots way to go through. So if you're still on board, let's make sure we slowly but surely move on. Myself and Sarah and the team will love to know your feedback. And I'll be referencing this a little bit later, which if you could go to goo.gle/digital garage feedback, Sarah will be sharing the link at the very end of the session. It would really mean the world to us. If you let us know how you enjoyed today's session, what did you like? What didn't you like? What could we improve on? Or just share on how amazing it was. But before we do, we're going to jump into the second part, which is writing for social media. Now, I'd like to kind of commend everybody on that first part, the first half an hour. We spoke about establishing your tone of voice, your personality. We came up those words. We built up the foundation of how to build up your brand and consistently promote that tone of voice within the platforms that you choose. When it comes to writing for social media, there is an amazing quote, which is, I would have written a shorter letter, but I did not have the time. Now, I'm not sure if this should be attributed to Pascal or Winston Churchill, but it reigns true when it comes to social media. If anybody's even thought about writing for social media or so look at creating a post, we are limited to the amount of characters and words that we can put in those particular posts, depending on the platform that you choose to post on. But that can quite limit us to a certain degree. But that limitation can sometimes be a huge benefit to a lot of companies, because we are normally, I'm actually going to make the assumption that many of us have our smartphone at arm's reach right now at this present moment in time. And when we grab that phone and we pick up that phone and we are scrolling and we are scrolling and we are scrolling and we are scrolling through copious amounts of content, our attention spans, thanks to social media, is terrible. The average human attention span is now close to 8.25 seconds. Some even say 3 seconds. Our attention spans are so bad. So bad. Sorry, what was that saying again? No, I'm just kidding. But attention spans are low. We lose attention in a matter of a few seconds. And this is something that we all need to know, because we all experience something similar. And a lot of you are probably going, oh my gosh, they're all so right. You probably lost attention during the first half an hour of this session at some point, got distracted by your child or your dog or the heat or something or a light, and you got distracted. So having that understanding that our attention spans are so terribly bad, that can kind of arm us with, okay, now that we know our attention spans are low, how are we now going to communicate with our customers online? So what we need to do is write for goldfish. Now, that's essentially what we need to do, because we got lots of content that we're scrolling through and scrolling through and scrolling through. But what happens when you come across a post that you really like and you're engaged with? What do I do with that information? Okay, cool. It looks good. There's no really button for me to press or anything for me to do. So I'm just going to keep scrolling and keep scrolling. However, if you design for goldfish, the goldfish wonders, looks for, oh, that looks really cool. Then it looks for, where do I go? Where's the food? The food is going to be that button or a call to action for them to take them to a website or to your page or to like your post. So essentially, we need to assume your reader will only read. That's it. That's what we need to assume. We're going to assume that your reader is only going to read the first half of the sentence. Now, it's for this reason it's quite controversial, but hopefully quite helpful. In your approach that writing for social media, we need to make sure we're getting to the point as soon as possible. How can we engage with them instantly without faffing and talking about mumble jumble before we get to the actual details? And a huge way to do this, or a really good way to do this, is to focus on the user. Now, just before we started to think about creating that pen portrait, who is your target audience? But when we'll have a more well-rounded understanding of who the audience is, what motivates them and what's their pain points, for example. Some people want to be entertained. Some people don't want to get entertained. Some people would like to learn something new. Some people just don't really care and just want to win something, for example. They want to win a competition, or they want to get involved in something. Now, again, not something myself and Sarah can answer from everybody, but every business, every charity, every organization, your customers are going to have motivations. They're going to have things that really, really annoy them. So how do we find out what that is? And what we need to do is focus on the benefits rather than the features. Well, there's a big difference between the two, and how do we establish this when we're writing for social media? Well, let's put this into context and give you 2 examples. So we have a new gadget watch, for example, really cool. I have a gadget watch right here. When we're looking to promote this online, say, for example, we say, well, this watch is waterproof up to 5 meters. Cool. Okay. Well, how about you say, we got a really cool watch, you can take it swimming. You're straight to the point. It benefits me because I can go swimming with it. Second of all, it's 5 millimeters thick in glass. Oh my gosh, I'm falling asleep already. Okay. Now you're going to explain to me the specifications about your product. Well, that's cool, but how is that going to help me? Well, it's smash resistant, for example, or comes in black, white, blue, gold, red, white, yellow, you name it, all those colors. Okay, well, that's cool. There's lots of different colors, but what's the benefit for me? Well, you can choose your own color to suit your personality. Remember, We're trying to fulfill your customers' needs. We're not looking to go, hey, here is a pen, it's blue, it's gray, and it's 5 millimeters long. I don't care about that. I want to know how it's going to benefit me. And especially when it comes to the attention span, getting to the point of the benefits is hopefully going to lead them to go to your website or read more through your social media. Last but not least, it's a spherical interface. Now, it's a beautiful word. I love the word spherical interface, but how is that benefit to me? Well, it's comfortable and it's stylish. So again, all of you wonderful individuals watching today, think about, even if it's a product or a service, what is the benefit of your service? What is the benefit of your product? Start writing those down and feel free to share it in the chat. Myself and Sarah would love to know, but focusing on those benefits to captivate your audiences and your customers and allow them to follow along. Next up, we've got boost your CV with a couple of examples. We've got boost your CV with a free. Well, I'm on the job hunt right now. I don't really have much money. I need a better CV. I need to boost it. You've got my attention through a digital marketing course. Okay, cool. However, if I flip that around and said, well, we got a digital marketing course. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to improve my CV. I don't really want to do more courses. But if you told me the benefit of doing the digital marketing course is going to help my CV, well, you've got to the point straight away. Second of all, get product and engineering on the same page. Or you could just say product roadmap software, which is sometimes a lot of jargon. Or if you are in the industry, it's like, okay, you're naming something, you're naming a software. What's the benefit? Last but not least, get a free coffee roasting kit. Who doesn't want free coffee? If I said, when you try 3 bags of our roasting coffee, well, you've spoken about you. When you've tried 3 bags of our coffee, well, what's going to make me eat that coffee? Eat that coffee. What's going to make me drink that coffee, for example? So these are some key examples, and hopefully you're thinking about this. And if you do currently have social media, what I highly recommend that everybody does is that you audit your social media. After today's session, go back to the post that you've created and start looking, am I sharing the benefits? Is there some call to action? Am I guiding my customers or my guests, or however you like to refer them to as, am I guiding them in the right direction? Then if you aren't, that's okay. Don't delete them, but look at how you can improve your posts moving forward. When you're doing this, what we want to do is we want to make sure it's clear and simple versus that complicated language. Now, sometimes we can get that unconscious bias of, okay, well, I know what's clear and simple because I'm in the industry. And I'm going to assume that people looking to buy in my products or service should know what this language is. Well, if you do, that's going to limit you to the people that only know about your products and the services. So we need to make sure it's clear and obvious to everybody. Next up, clear and simple language, friendly, very friendly, clear, structured, uncomplicated sentences and everyday words. What we want to try and avoid is complicated technical terms. Let's say, for example, I'm going to promote my latest intro to coding course. It's got a course. It's about HTML. It's about CSS. It's about JavaScript. We're going to do a little bit of DOM manipulation. Then what we're going to do is we're probably going to do some examples using JavaScript and move things from time to time. I'm like, well, what are you talking about, Daryl? I'm just learning how to code, and now you're throwing all these jargon words at me. Then we want to avoid jargon, flowery language, or any unnecessary words. Now, this may sound incredibly obvious, but while you're doing the audits of your social media is making sure, is it clear? And if it's clear to you because you're in the industry, feel free to ask anybody else that you know does know nothing about your industry and your service and say, hey, do you know what I'm talking about right here? Would you understand this? Then that's going to help you and support you when you look at posting on social media. So next up, we've got, how can you cut your copy but keep the same meaning? Now, that's not always an easy thing to do, but that's another great question that I would like us all to start thinking about. Ideating ideas, share it in the chat. How can you cut the copy but keep the same meaning? There's no right or wrong answer here. And what I'm really, really hoping is that maybe we've got some experienced individuals viewing us here today that's going to share some of their valuable insights on how to do this, and maybe help those maybe less experienced individuals of how do we cut your copy but keep the same meaning? It's a great question I put out there to everybody, and really, really hope we can get a couple of answers coming in. Okay, we have an example. While you're doing that, we have an example of the features versus benefits example from Northman, We didn't even prompt you, but I really, really love the fact that you shared that with us. So a big, big thank you, Northman. So let's go up 600,000 mAh battery, use longer, scratch supports, customize as I wanted, 200 megabyte camera. Let's take professional photos, lightweight and easy to handle. Wow, Northman, I don't know how you did that, but you did it very, very quickly and set an example for everybody here today on how, I wouldn't say easy, but it's a great thing to think about. And hopefully everybody watching, looking within the comments for Northman, look at the comparisons of how he's focused on the benefits rather than what the feature actually is, because we want to highlight the benefits. And then once they start to get more interested as they go along the journey or the customer journey of purchasing from you, then we can start sharing more of the features that's going to really excite them to say, wow, it's got a 20 megabyte camera. That's amazing. Because I know when I first heard about it, is that you could create professional photos. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to get $1,000,000,000 camera. I'm looking to just create professional photos. And you answered that for me at the instance. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Really, 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 really appreciate that. So in terms of cutting that copy, Northman said use paraphrase, and we've also got rephrase. So some great ones on there, but what we want to do is make sure we limited it, focus on the benefits rather than the features. And we want to make sure that is at the very top, assuming that the customer will only read the first line. Next up, when we're talking about writing for social media, it's not the greatest topic that I like to talk about because it's not really nice. Let's face it. But at some point, some of us are going to experience some sort of a complaint through social media. And having a good understanding that social media is public, everybody is freely posting on a daily basis, we may potentially get some complaints coming in. So how are we going to handle this? This is definitely something to think about. Before we jump in, we've got another one from Joe, actually a copywriter. Wow, okay, we've got a copywriter in the house. To keep copy short, I remove adjectives, use bullet points, and try to start sentences with verbs. Joe, that's it's amazing. Huge value that you just added to the session, and I really, really appreciate that. So for those who are watching the chat, please absorb that information. But yes, for coming from a copywriter, keep it short, remove adjectives, and use bullet points. We're trying to get that emphasis straight across. We've got Ava again as well. But thank you keeping those in. We've got Yayoti. Instead of writing too much in the copy, speak through your image post. Another great point that we brought across is our attention spans are low. If somebody sent me a paragraph to read or sent me an image to look at, which one do you think I'm going to pay attention to? Probably the image. But at the same time, words can complement images and vice versa. So what we're looking to do, great tips from Joe, great tips from Yayoti, great, amazing stuff. So when it comes to handling complaints, coming back to that, not a great topic to talk about, but let's face it, we are at some point going to experience some sort of a complaint. And it's really up to us on how do we now handle the situation. I've been in the situation many times, and I kind of find it as a challenge. And I really want to look at how I can change that customer's mindset of turning someone that's really upset to creating almost a brand advocate or brand ambassador. And I've done it previously where they come back to me and say, Daryl, you handled that beautifully, so beautifully that I loved your customer service. And I'm now going to tell a lot of people about what you've done for me. So remember, complaints are never good to experience, but it is a necessity at some point to really make sure that you are legitimate, you're authentic, and you can be trustworthy by responding. So what we recommend when it comes to complaints is avoid passive language. Rather use an active voice. This will help you write clear, concise, and get straight to the point. So what we need to do is listen to what they've said. And I'm going to show you an example a little bit later. But how can you fix the problem? Focus on acknowledging rather than an empty empathizing. Don't say stuff you don't mean. For example, well, I'm really sorry that you experienced that. Maybe in the future that won't happen again. That's kind of like, well, you kind of let me out to the dark, in the dust. Or, okay, what happened again? What have you done for me? So what we need to do is acknowledge and kind of see how can we fix this? And I can speak from everybody. I feel like I can speak from everybody is maybe at some point in your life, you have either complained to somebody or somebody's complained to you. But say, for example, you're going to complain to somebody. How do you want that to be handled? either in person or virtually, should be the same. Try avoid jokey, because jokey has its time and place, especially if there's money involved. We need to have a serious response. If this is something comical, you may want to bring with a slightly cheeky remark towards the end once the issue has been resolved. I mean, let's face it, everybody likes humor, but in the appropriate place. Then we need to think about how we can sign off with a name. All of the complaints, I'm not going to say that I'm a big complainer, but when I do complain and I get somebody to respond to me, as also I don't get someone to respond to me, somebody does respond to me and they respond by finishing off with a name, I feel a lot more at ease. I don't know what it is, but I feel like, okay, now I know Sarah is taking care of my complaint. I know somebody's looking after me. Hopefully that's been followed up on, but that name is going to give me a little bit more comfort instead of saying, okay, we'll get to you when we can get to you. We have lots of different customers that we need to handle and we'll sometimes get to you. That's very, very impersonal. And we don't want to make sure we come across that way. So we've got a great example of discussing. So we have a very, very bad complaint. I'm going to read this through and then I want you all to answer. I want you to answer in the chat either how you're going to answer, or you could just answer it and type it out right now on how would you respond to this terrible message, but you may experience it. Look, I ordered a mobile from your company last week, but when it arrived, it was badly damaged. When I called to complain, I was rudely told that you don't accept returns and that I need to contact delivery company for compensation. Is this really how you treat your loyal customers? I will never buy from you again. Hopeless. Now, it's like almost like a knife to my heart, especially if your company, your business, your charity, that's your baby. This is something that you have grown from nothing, and this means the world to you. And then you have some people just battering it down. But what's very, very important that we don't take this personally, and we follow the guidelines of what I've just run through right now. So how would you respond to this email? Pop it into the chat. We'd love to see. But I'm loving to see the communications within the chat, loving that people are sharing ideas. Please keep that up. Really, really beneficial, and it makes these sessions really have that impact that we're looking to have. So thank you very much, especially to Joe, Andy, and many, many others who are contributing, Ivar as well, and so many of you others that are contributing to help. So I'm not sure if we have any questions yet so far, but I'm really looking to see how you're going to handle this complaint. Now, many of you are probably typing away right now. So as you're typing away, I'm going to jump into the answer very, very shortly because I'm quite time conscious. So we've got about 13 minutes to go and we've got a little bit to go through. So let's go ahead and see. Offer a free gift. I like that. Crystal, love that because you are going to help the situation. But some people don't feel comfortable, and maybe it comes down to their money or their budget that they want to share a gift. But if you have the ability to offer a free gift, by all means, do so. But remember, we still need to actively listen and understand where is that complaint coming from? What is the customer going through? How can we understand them on a deeper level so we can resolve the issue? I feel like the added free gift is only going to be beneficial, but we need to focus on what's actually going to happen. So we got Maria. Tell them that you will discuss with the staff and inform them about an incident so that it will never happen again, and they can do everything that you can do to resolve the issue. Maria, that is wonderful. We have Ivar. I treat with sympathy because of such a burden. Yes. We got Naomi. Dear hopeless. Dear hopeless. Okay. We're extremely sorry for the inconvenience caused. Please share your order details. We'll get back to them with a definite solution. Loving these coming through. So apologies for the inconvenience caused. We assure you, you will fix it and meet the expectations by compensating you. These are great examples. Now, I'm going to jump into probably one of the best responses that I've seen, one from Sassy. Sorry for the inconvenience caused from our side customer. We replaced the damaged product with a new one. If we could please mail us the details about the damaged products. Actively listening. We got one from Studio 16. Apologies for the inconvenience. A representative will call you to short address the grievance. Love that. Hi, I'm so sorry that you experienced this from us. Please, can I ask you to call us so we can get this sorted for you? Claire, I love that. So you're going to give them your name and you're going to give them their phone number to say, hey, I want to pick up the call and speak to you right now. Love that. Northman, dear valued customer. Love that. We agreed sorry to hear this and apologize for your inconvenience. We will replace this with a new Untitled headphones soon. Thank you for reaching us. These are wonderful answers and great practice. For those who haven't experienced the complaint yet, that's so awesome. And hopefully you'll never receive a complaint. But if you have, now you have some real good understanding of how to deal with it. So great way to answer this, the dear hello customer. But I do like what somebody, Northman, wrote, dear valued customer. Love that one. Definitely write that down. Our sincere apologies for the inconvenience caused and the poor customer service you've received. What we've done is we've acknowledged, we've actively listened to the complaint and realized that what they've gone through. Just writing that down is going to put them a little bit more at ease. Like, they actually heard me. They know what I'm talking about. We value your patronage. Again, value. Value is a very powerful word, and we'll launch a full investigation. Someone popped that in. I'm not sure who it was, but kudos to you. Somebody mentioned investigation. With your investigation into why the team provided you with this misinformation and didn't treat you with the full disrespect that you deserved, please contact me on my direct email and we can organize full compensation or replacement for you, and signed off with a name, which is Hannah. A beautiful, simple few sentences that's going to address the customer's complaint and address it accordingly. And hopefully you're going to turn that complaint into somebody that's going to love your brand, love the way you've dealt with the customer service. And let's face it, as much as we are businesses, charities, and organizations, we are all people. And when it comes to people, we all require that respect. We all deserve the respect, regardless of how it's coming through complaints or back and forth. So next up, we're going to go to any questions. Let's see if there's any questions so far. I think Sarah has been typing away. We got one from Andy regarding benefits versus features. Should the language not be focused on the target user? A professional photographer would want the data and might consider the benefits as a flowery language. Andy, that's a very, very valuable point. And I think you raised a good point in terms, it's going to be different for every different sector, every different business or charity. But I believe that when it comes to professional photographer, we don't want to use, if we use particular words, obviously not the flowery language, we are going to address those who are currently considered professional photographers. And if that is your target audience, by all means, you can use more of the technical terms. But we don't want to limit yourself to only professional photographers, for example. We want to broaden that out. So if somebody who doesn't know much about photography comes across your advert or your social media post, how can we entice them or learn more? And they go, oh, this is quite interesting. I kind of understand a little bit more about this, and maybe lead to another sale from a completely different audience that you may never thought you would have got before. But great question. Okay, so 8 minutes to go. I just want to say a big kudos to everybody. I've already touched base on the fact that attention spans are low. So if you're still paying attention, big kudos to you. And let's stick it out till the very, very end and keep that engagement within the chat. So last part is the toolkit for your content marketing. Now, you have so much information at your fingertips and you have so many different tools. Or when it comes to tools, there's a whole magnitude of them when it comes to the Google Digital Garage, but we'll share the first one. When it comes to writing for social media, we need to be grammatically correct and we want to make sure we run a spell check. So if you haven't already, now this seems to be quite common amongst a lot of individuals, and they have something called Grammarly. For those who aren't familiar with this amazing software called Grammarly, it will essentially help you with the grammar of your posts. Now you could be as OCD as I am when I'm looking to post on social media. I will normally go into a Google Docs. I will start typing it out. I will do a spell check. Then I will use Grammarly to make sure my grammar is correct. Then I will copy that, and then I will paste it into the platform I'm looking to post. Now, you could go as far as I do to make sure you are perfectly okay to post towards the end. But what I do recommend is that you definitely spell check and check the grammar, because once it's public, it is public. Now, you may be able to delete it at some point, but we don't know who's seen that. We don't know where it's been shown to, copied, pasted, or shared, whichever. So make sure we are grammatically correct. Next up, we've got create engaging visuals. Now, this is something that I have a huge focus on, which is going to be around eye-catching photos. Someone raised it earlier in terms of how do we cut a copy but keep the same meaning? We could use photos. Using photos to engage and allow people to see what you're talking about through that image. But what we don't want to have is dull images. Now, majority of us have beautiful smartphones. I'm going to make the assumption most of us do, but we normally have great filtering of how can we bring the vibrance of the colors of the pictures to make it pop. Editing photos through something called Visco, which is VSCO. It's a great editing platform. You've got something called Canva as well. www.canva.com is going to allow you to create that consistency. You can find templates. You can bring that vibrance of those photos. You can edit the photos, make it brighter, make it darker, change the contrast. But it's very, very important that we do this. The why we do this is because the competitiveness, I don't think that's a word. There are so many different competitors in this world, regardless of your sector or your industry. We need to make sure you pop with these vibrant pictures that will almost tell your audience a story. Then using the templates, I referenced Canva earlier, but how do we now create templates to create something that's consistent? When we're looking to bring your brand tone of voice, when we're looking to bring that consistency to your audience, what are the colors that we use? For example, do we have a color palette? Within these templates, do we have a particular font that we use? When we're using fonts, it's not recommended to use too many. I would recommend one font and try find one font, potentially a second font, but not too many other fonts. Remember, consistency is built through colors, fonts, and of course, the tone of voice that you're looking to bring across. And of course, with the graphic design apps that I've mentioned before, Canva, Visco, and of course the majority of your smartphones, if you take a photo and you go ahead and click edit, you'll have the ability to really change that photo and make it pop. Next up, we got smartphone and selfie stick. Now, the selfie stick has been around for a very, very long time. And I'm going to make the assumption that majority of us have some sort of a smartphone. So it doesn't have to be extravagant. You don't need to hire photographers and editors and video editors. Grab up your phone. You could be like me when I first started. Get your phone, prop it up onto a windowsill and start communicating and writing for social media. There's a last tip that I like to bring across to everybody when it comes down to that point is how do we cut the copy but keep the same meaning? I think that is a huge focus for a lot of us when we're looking to compete with all those individuals on social media posting on a regular basis is we can write really well for social media, but if our attention spans are so low, pictures are great. But what I recommend when I've done many, many different one-to-one mentoring sessions, if you're looking to get a message across, a powerful message across about what you're up to, what's your values, what's your tone of voice, whatever information you look to bring across, why don't you create a simple 30-second video of whatever the topic is? And that video can be reused on multiple different platforms. And it could be a reference point of, oh, I don't know you. What are you about? Well, watch our video, 30 seconds. It will tell you exactly about what we spoke about before, what we value, what we're about, what do we stand for, what are our mission statements. Now, when it comes down to creating videos, simply grab your smartphone, prop it up somewhere where you can look at the camera and just start talking. Then you can edit it through many different avenues. If you want to know more about video and editing, make sure you click in the link in the description below. Go to the live trainings. There's another great live training called Create Videos for YouTube and YouTube for Your Brand. And there's many, many others. But Google Digital Garage is here to help you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into, we got 2 minutes to go. Myself, Sarah, would love to know your feedback. I'm really hoping that everybody's got a few more tools in your tool belt to bring across to your social media and really start to get to the point considering the attention spans. Please go ahead and leave us your feedback on go to goo.gle/digital garage feedback. And it really does help us improve and move forward in the future. And of course, we'd love to know how you enjoyed today's session. Next up, what would be your next steps? Well, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click on the link in the description below. There is so much information. There is the online courses section where you can jump into something called the fundamentals of digital marketing. It's a great course. I've done it about 2 times, almost 3 times, not because I'm dumb, because every time I do it, I learn something new. And you get a certificate towards the end, which you can then highlight on your CV and on your journey. Of course, if you are struggling and think, well, Daryl said a lot of things today, but I need a little bit more help, a little bit more particular, a little bit more tailored, and you are in the UK, please go ahead and take down that link, which is g.co/UK mentoring, and really look forward to welcoming you to those sessions, or if somebody else too, amongst all those digital experts. Thank you, everybody. That is a wrap. 1 minute to go. And a big, 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 big thank you to everybody for getting involved with today's chat, getting engaged. Hopefully you've got a ton of notes to take into action and take that into the one-to-one mentoring sessions so we can guide you to success Again, feedback. And if you really, really enjoyed today's session, we always encourage you to post and write on social media. Shout about it on social media. Make sure you hashtag Digital Garage. A big, big thank you to Sarah for moderating today's chat. I know she's just been typing away. And again, finally, a big thank you to everybody. These sessions can't be as good as they are without your wonderful engagement and your questions and your queries and your emojis. So a big, big thank you to you. Make sure you look after yourself. Make sure you look after each other. And I'll say until next time, bye for now.